Egypt is following the roadmap of democracy and has arranged the parliamentary election during November and December 2015. In response to an invitation by the Egypt's authorities, the Global Network for Rights and Development, GNRD, have deployed an election observation mission to Egypt to observe the first phase of its parliamentary elections, which was conducted 18th and 19th October. The runoff was conducted on 27th and 28th October. The second phase of elections will be held on November 22nd and 23rd. Runoffs will be held on November 30th and December 1st and 2nd, respectively. The Global Network for Rights and Development, GNRD, implemented its election observation mission in collaboration with three partners: Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, COMESA; International Institute for Peace, Justice and Human Rights, IIPJHR; and MAT for Peace, Development and Human Rights. This joint mission is a unique combination of international civil society with local civil society and governmental organization. The joint mission includes 300 international observers from 42 different nationalities, 2015 local observers, and a group of analysts, translators, security staff, and drivers. The election monitoring process started with a hard, tiring work for days and nights. A group of employees and volunteers of the joint mission prepared all the monitoring papers, documents, plan of operation, and defined responsibilities of each observer, which will be followed during the mission.
Civil society, so in this situation, please be strong.
One day before the election, a thorough orientation session was arranged to discuss rules and procedures of election monitoring process. Chief Executive Manager Evgenia Kondrakina conducted the session. The head of the International Joint Election Observation Mission, Dr. Lloyd Deeb himself, attended the session to confirm everything is going in accordance with the protocol of the mission and legal procedures.
We have also local partner.
A joint orientation session was arranged with four-party observers from GNRD, the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, COMESA, the International Institute for Peace, Justice and Human Rights, IIPJHR, and MAT for Peace, Development and Human Rights.
Point at the beginning that each hour you need to send an SMS with
The highest priority was given for the security of each election observer. Election observers of the International Joint Election Monitoring Team gathered early morning at the hotel lobby. They needed to reach the polling centers before it opens. Every group is equipped with all necessary papers and meal packs for the day.
Team number 22, take one box, one water, and we go.
Each 5 to 6 member group of observers were given one interpreter, one security guard, and 2 vehicles. Group by group, they're leaving to the assigned areas. There are polling centers far way up to 250 to 300 kilometers. The first day election, 18th October. Quad Party International and local election observers arrived in groups in different polling centers. They're allowed to enter the center after checking the identity. Observers followed the election protocol and recorded their observation. Voters with disabilities received assistance while voting. There were voters not well aware of the total voting procedure. Often, officials needed to assist them to cast the vote in the correct way. Percentage of female voters were low, but there were polling centers where significant female voters turned up. Each election observation team visited 7 to 9 polling centers during 12-hour voting times, from 9 a.m. till 9 p.m., depending on the driving distance. There were polling centers where the turnout of voters were very low. Voting procedure followed chronological steps: identity check with the government record, recording of signature, getting ballot paper, and then casting the vote. As a physical record that a person voted, each voter needed to mark the finger with permanent ink. The joint observation team needed to follow the total voting procedure as part of observation method. Second day election, 19th October 2015. Morning started with a call to assemble the election observation teams at the driveway of the hotel. Each group was equipped with their gear for the day. convoys started moving at 5 in the morning to reach the destinations. Our media team followed a combined CAMISA and GNRD observation team. Observation team collectively takes notes of practical process of voting and records in the prescribed forum, which will be tabulated and presented to the management of the mission. Part of election monitoring process, observers often do a cross-check with the polling agents of different candidates. There were polling stations that were very busy. A lot of voters turned up at a time. Observation team found many polling centers having volunteers in front of the gate with desks to help voters with ID and voting numbers to make their voting easy and fast. Places voters welcomed observation teams and wanted to have photograph and rejoice with them. The same CAMISA and GNRD observation team set out at night to observe voting, center closing and counting of casted votes. The pace of night voting was much less. Voters worked during the day shifts, mostly coming in evening and night.
واللي ما كانش موجود وعايز يحب يشوفها موجوده الارقام هنا. ما ينفعش يكون اقل ولا زياده. هطلع كل الصيف مع بعض.
The observation team stayed till the end of the counting and closing of the center. Ballot counting was done in front of the election observers and polling agents of election participating candidates. Observation teams accordingly recorded voting atmospheres and procedures of counting for the mission. During the election days, a number of local and foreign media visited GNRD operation rooms. They interviewed several members of election monitoring teams. The runoff election was held on 27th and 28th October. The International Joint Election Observation Mission covered both the days and selected governorates and districts. GNRD media team followed a combined team of observers of the Institute for Peace, Justice and Human Rights, IIP-JHR, and the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, CAMISA. The team drove to Governorate Giza to observe voting in the areas. Some centers were well guarded. Observers' identities were thoroughly checked as they escorted observers to the polling booth. As part of observation procedure, observation teams monitored the overall polling activities, particularly noting inside voting procedures whether it goes according to protocol. The observation team visited centers following the guide given by the mission. The thumb rule was, observe voting without interfering in any affairs of the polling center. The runoff voting went till 9 p.m. for 2 consecutive days.